Hi and welcome to Fab Parks. Here is the second video of a Voltron opening weekend special. If you haven't seen the first reaction, check the video in the description down below. Now, after 5 rides on Voltron, I think I made my mind up to put things together, and I can give you a kind of honest opinion on this coaster. In order to do so, I wanted to do a comparison versus the best coasters in the world and in Europe, and I selected some of them because they are kind of famous for one specific characteristic. They are famous for one feature in which they excel versus the others, and everyone is talking about them, specifically for their characteristics. I want to see how Voltron compares versus that, specifically on the criteria, on that feature. Also, let's say the opening weekend has been a bit flawed with pass holder event cancelled last time because one train valid and then they have to remove it by truck, has been sent back to the factory. Also, the opening day was not really great in terms of crowd management and overall organization, but let's leave that on aside and let's start the mega comparison. Also stay, because at the end of the video we're going to also talk about capacity, about merchandising, and about virtual line and single rider queue. Of course, before anything else, subscribe. And so let's talk about the area first. New area Croatia was meant to be immersive, and I think here, the kind of benchmark of the best in class are those two. So it's Croatia, as nice as Rookburg or Clue Game in Fantasia. No. So the area is nicely put together. It's pretty simple though, and it's not as immersive, hasn't got that wow factor at all. In general, there is a merchandising shop, there is an ice cream shop, there is a bit of street food, there is this nice building of a coaster station, but that's about it. On the other hand, let's say it's still a building site. We're still building. There is still potentially this second water ride that we all think is gonna land at some point, but we don't know. Also, it looks like, looking at the map, that they got expansion 1 and 2 on the right and on the left sides. So it feels like it's still building progress. So I wouldn't jump to conclusion, but so far, nowhere near Rookburg or Clue Game. And now let's talk about the queue line, where I think the best in class in the world are those two.
Por favor, mantengan la calma. Los aeropuertos.
And so the queue line of Voltron is breathtaking. The outdoor queue line, it's super detailed, there are massive props, and it's really, really nice. But when you get into the building, you got the wow factor. Now, take it with a pinch of salt, but gave me the same vibes of Rise of the Resistance, which is, I know it's a lot to say, but it's really so grand, so massive. It's like, it leaves you like with speechless. Also, there are lots of details, lots of elements, lots of screens, and all this steampunk theming. It's really, really nice. Then the cherry on the top is they made with these electric coils the Song of Nevera, and this show starts every 5 minutes or so. And when it starts, people are just like, what? And then they start clapping and cheering. It's just amazing. Only thing regarding the queue, I think they missed a trick in terms of a pre-show. So what is good of Velocicoaster and of Batman Gotham City Escape is that there is a pre-show which actually set the scene and explains the story. Here, I felt a bit like I didn't really get, I mean, I know what it is, but not everyone will get what the experiment is and why it makes sense to, teletransportation and everything, and why this is happening. I think they missed a bit of the trick to have a room in which you put 50, 100 people and explain the story before getting into the main room indoor, and that would have amplified even more the wow factor. But so far, the queue line is one of the best in the world. And now let's talk about madness of layout and on-ride experience, and we know that the king is that one. And so, how is the layout and the madness, overall speaking, versus Ride to Happiness? Now, Ride to Happiness is crazy, we know that. The fact that Ride to Happiness sometimes is also too intense. There are some times in which, because of the spin, because of the weight distribution, whatever, it gets far too intense, with the risk of ruining the rest of the day. Now, Voltron is not as intense. I wouldn't say it's not as crazy. It doesn't get too intense as Ride to Happiness often does. And this is a plus, it's not a minus. So I would say no, it doesn't match the madness of Ride to Happiness, but I say it might be a good thing. On the other hand, the layout is crazy. There are so many elements, it's long. So are we in front of the best layout on a roller coaster? I would say probably yes, Voltron is the best layout in the world you can get as of today. And let's talk about intensity of launches, especially the second one. And here we got just one winner. I love the coaster, by the way. This one. And so the launches of Voltron are not so powerful. The first one, of course, is breathtaking because it's 105 degrees, but the second one, you don't even feel it to a certain extent. Now, we are far, far away from the intensity of Taron, especially the second launch, which is still breathtaking for me. I would say launches in Voltron are more functional to move the train forward. They're not a distinctive feature. So no, we are nowhere near Taron intensity in terms of launches. And let's talk about different and new elements in the layout. And for me, here the winner was this one.
Ma siamo molto vicini, cavolo, eh?
Sì.
Cioè, il posto è questo qua. 10 camminini.
And so, in terms of innovative elements, I do appreciate the effort of Mac in terms of delivering something new. For sure, the launch 105 degrees is a lot. On the other hand, I'm not fully convinced about the rotating plate at the end where the spike is. Why? Because it kills the pace completely. You just stand still far too much. And also the building itself is not really nice because it's still fully open, there is no roof, it's too bright. Also, you are in an awful part of the park because you are outside, close to a gate. You're not in the middle of nowhere, so it doesn't really look nice. Also, Toutatis does a much better job because that spike is used for a rollback and you get launched straight away. There are no breaks in the pace. So, no, I think Toutatis is much better on this aspect. On the other hand, there is another innovative element. Spoiler alert, after the station, before the launch, there is something, let's say that, but unfortunately on day 2, it wasn't working already. It was like, And let's talk about capacity. So here the benchmark was Mac already in Europa Park, and you can see that they just leverage on what they know in terms of what they've done recently. We talk about the lockers, we talk about the tapirulan in the station, the trains never stopping. We're talking about the self-closing restraints. There is a bit of art, a bit of blue fire, a lot of right to happiness, all combined together to deliver a 1,600 guests per hour, which is a lot, but stay tuned because at the end of the video we're gonna measure the actual capacity of Voltron. And let's talk about trains, where the best one is this one. And so, how does compare Voltron to Ride to Happiness in terms of trains? No, it's not as sexy as a Ride to Happiness. Voltron trains are nice, they are nicely made, they actually got this steampunk industrial look, which is amazing, but we are far away from the sexiness and the boldness of a Ride to Happiness trains. And then, you know what I'm gonna say? There is no onboard audio. Which is one of the key pillars and what makes a Ride to Happiness amazing when you're riding it, the onboard soundtrack. There is none on Voltron, and unfortunately I would think that having an onboard soundtrack on Voltron would have made the experience even better. So no, the train is not as good as the Ride to Happiness one. Let's talk about the interaction between the train and the theming. And here we go to winners, obviously, which are those two. And so, is Voltron interaction with teaming as good as F.L.Y and Taron? No, nowhere near. So there is a bit of teaming, like mainly the Tesla towers, two of them, one also halfway. And then there is a bit of teaming when the train is around the main square. There is something there like a clock tower, some other bits and arch. But we are nowhere near what they achieved with Rookburg and Clue Game. So no, here there is like a clear winner, and it's not Voltron. Let's talk about sponsors, and here I think the winner is Phantasialand, which made of the fact of being sponsor-free and logos-free their winning point and kind of excellence amongst theme park industry, which is heavily sponsored and lots of logos flying around. Here, unfortunately, there is a sponsor, which is Nevera, the car by Rimac. And unfortunately, the sponsor is also in the name of the coaster, and it's also on the train. And then there is this supercar in the middle of the main square, which doesn't fit with the theming, doesn't fit with the era where we should be, because we are like years ago. It's like, no. And so, no. Also, if I'm buying merchandising expensive, no, I don't want to have the name of your bloody sponsor on my t-shirt. Thanks. And so this is the end of the comparison, the mega comparison. And I think I made up my mind. Voltron doesn't excel in anything. As you see, if you look at the single characteristics, the single features, the other cars are still doing better. But what Mac managed to do here was to look around at the excellence in Europe and why people think those courses are really good, and take all those features together, trying to match them or to get close to that, but all in the same product. And they created a hell of a product here, because here we're not in front of a coaster that is trying to be, the tallest, the longest, the fastest, the wide. No, here is just a coaster that is trying to do good, deliver a good product, a good experience, and oh my God, they managed to do that. So I think still we're gonna have coasters in Europe and in the world which are more intense, more crazy, whatever. But what Mac tried to do here was to look around and say, okay, what can I copy from the best coaster that just opened recently? And they incorporated all those features in one experience only. This is a hell of a coaster, and probably is the best coaster currently, just because it delivers as much as the others do, but in so many multiple criteria and features. It's a really nice package. That's what it is. So, is it the best coaster in Europe? I think probably it is. It's just the best package, the best 360 degrees experience you can get. And it's worth mentioning that the Mac wasn't after a world record. They wanted to have any, specific feature to shout about. They just created a really good coaster, and oh my God, they managed to do that. This is the end of the mega comparison, but stay here, subscribe in the meantime if you want, but stay here because now I'm gonna go back to the park, and today we're gonna measure the capacity. We're going to have a look at the merchandising, and I'm going to try to use both the virtual line and the single rider queue to explain you how they work. Merchandising wise, they got quite a nice, decent range of things, from cushions to mugs, textile, and some home decoration items. The textile is made by Puma for unknown reasons, and that makes it so expensive, like too expensive, I would say. For the rest, it's a bit of a mixed bag. Pricing is all over the place. How can a baseball hat cost as much as a massive backpack? I don't really know. Textile is nice, but it's too expensive, and there are some lamps and decoration items, which again is a mixed bag. One, it's really, really nice. It's got this old-style bulb with the logo embossed, lovely. The other one comes straight off Alibaba, AliExpress, with a sticker with the logo just sticked on it. It's like, no. So a bit of a mixed bag, but Merlin, it's miles better than this. And live from Venice, let's talk about capacity. So first thing, we are one train down, and it's the opening weekend. Voltron struggled quite a bit with lots of downtime. I mean, at some point where the turntable is, it looked like there was a traffic jam, 3 trains stuck there and all that. I hope it's not too complicated to be reliable. And as I said, I don't want to jump to conclusion. It's the opening weekend. There were also like a task force of engineers there. There was a kind of temporary office they set up in the station and all that. Hopefully it's gonna be reliable. Currently, of course, it's the opening weekend. Things can go wrong. Fair enough. As said, the wow thing in between the station and the first launch on Saturday was already turned off because it didn't work, and there were lots of downtimes, rollbacks, and emergency brakes and all that. Let's see. Hopefully they're gonna just fix it and it's gonna be reliable. I hope it's not gonna turn into a kind of F.L.Y, which is a bit too complicated to be consistent and reliable in terms of capacity. Say that, I measured the hour capacity both on Friday, day 1, and today, Sunday. So let's see how it performed. And so on the first day, on Friday, we managed to launch 6 trains in 5 minutes. This brings the capacity to 1,150 per hour with 6 trains. With 7 trains, that would be 1,350, which is not bad for the first day at all, considering 1,600 theoretical maximum capacity. And today, Sunday, while I was measuring, it broke down as usual. So we had 1 train stop at the second launch, probably 3 trains stop at the turntable. Anyway, they managed to launch 4 trains in 10 minutes. This brings our capacity below 400. just to say what, basically when it works, it kind of delivers what it's meant to do. But as said, it's the opening weekend, we cannot judge so far as being so unreliable and had so many issues. But as said, hopefully it's not a delicate flower, it's just ramping up because it's the first opening weekend. In terms of queues, you got the main entrance and then the single ride and virtual line. So main entrance, if you're here, it's around 1 hour maximum. Virtual line, never seen it on the app, but I've been told that someone managed to book it. And the single rider, again, from here it's around 1 hour. Of course, single rider is always a lot of luck. I just joined the single rider, you see just a bit further than the entrance, and it's 9:45. I will tell you when I'm gonna be on the train. Let's say the main queue, if you start from the entrance, it's around 1 hour because lots of people are stopping to take pictures, of course, but also it's always moving. So yes, it's long, but it doesn't take ages. We managed to do it a couple of times in 45-50 minutes from that point. It's now 10 and I'm already at the lockers, and it's just the spiral staircase to go to the station. And 20 minutes down the line, I'm in the station. It's now 10:15 and I'm out, considering there was a small bump in the station when we came back. We had a bit of queue there to wait. So all in all, the queue was 20 minutes. The single rider, top. And so from this horrible product placement here, here's the end of Voltron Mega Update. I hope you enjoyed the video. Of course, subscribe to the channel, but if you're thinking about coming to Europa Park and you're struggling to find your way here, please find in the description down below the travel tips and tricks. It's 2 years old, but it's still fully working because it's exactly what I've done 2 days ago. Honestly, come and try it as soon as you can.